Okay. So basically, I have a really good theory for the Avengers Doomsday and what's going on. But before I say my theory, I want to go over two theories that I've seen and why I don't like them and the problems I have with some of these theories that I've been seeing online. And the first theory is that Tony is upset that he died in Endgame and that he's taking revenge on his team and the Avengers. I don't like this because it's like, why does he have an accent? And then also, why does Reed Richards from Earth 828 know who he is? Right? Why does Pedro Pascal for Reed Richards know him? Doesn't make any sense, right? You're kind of skipping over a lot of facts that we've seen in order to get to this theory and to think that it's true. The second theory that I've seen is that Cap created the timeline, the Earth 2A timeline, but I don't like that theory because Cap went back in like the 1970s around that time, and it just doesn't make any sense because the Earth 828, the lore behind it is that it had no Dark Ages. So how did him going back to 1970s create a timeline where there's no dark? It doesn't make any sense. Why is there no Dark Age in Earth 828 if he went back in 1970s? And the other idea was that that Cap created an incursion on that Earth, but from what we've seen, that Earth is still intact because we saw Fantastic Four, and if it doesn't make any sense, right? It's just so dumb, and that's the problem with some of these like theories is that people kind of create this very convoluted like ideas and it's very contrived, and a lot of these like MCU films they're pretty like they're pretty simple. It's very like easy to get to the point, and also you want them to be easy to get to the point because you just want to get into the film. And we saw that with Spider-Man: Brand New Day. They were saying that like Jean Grey knew Spider-Man in high school, and he's upset with her, and she's upset with him because freaking when he erased everyone's memory, that kind of upset her, and it was so dumb. It was just like, well, no. Instead, it's this other thing with the government agency and how they killed Jean Grey's sister. That was a more simplistic, kind of easy to get into story, and that just made more sense. Now, my theory, the theory that I think that makes the most sense, is that Doctor Doom took over Tony Stark's body because Tony Stark is an anchor being. I think he's the anchor being for 616, but possibly every single MCU timeline. And when you're the anchor being, you have a certain like gravity. Things kind of go in your way in order for you to become the person that you need to be. Tony Stark had to grow up under Howard and Maria Stark so he could live as a billionaire, and then he can go to MIT, and then he can become the genius person, and then become Iron Man later in life. And he had to meet Captain America and Black Widow so they could become the Avengers and create the Avengers. And all things had to happen in that order, right? And things had to go right. I think similarly for Doctor Doom, things had to go kind of wrong, right? So things had to go crappy for him. He had to get his face mangled up. He had to lose his wife or his mom, whatever, so he could become Doctor Doom. Now I think he hates this. Obviously, I think he looked at the timeline like he's like, this sucks, right? This is dog water, right? Why do I have to get screwed over? And he's looking at everyone else in the multiverse. Is like, you guys are living stolen lives. You guys shouldn't be having these lives. And basically, he kind of hates how this has gone down. And I think he kind of knows that things have been engineered, and this is not how things would have played out if there weren't these concepts of like anger beings and people coming who they are. He wants a free for all. He wants the world to just be as it is, and no guaranteed things, no fate, no whatever. Things shouldn't just have to happen. I shouldn't have to be messed up and lose my loved ones because I have to become Doctor Doom. I don't want to become Doctor Doom if I don't want to be. So I think he's kind of using the magic or whatever that Tony Stark has as an anger being in order to rearrange and engineer timeline or the MCU timeline or MCU multiverse so things, if not go in his favor, at the very least, there's no anchor being. So maybe if he's not the anchor being, that's fine, but so that no one is, and it's just a free for all. I think that's what's going to happen, and I don't know this is a guaranteed thing, and I'm kind of iffy about it myself. But I think this makes way more sense than Tony Stark being, he's gone going evil, or really he's like from Latveria and he got adopted by the Starks. I don't like that's too convoluted. I think it changes too much about the old MCU movies. I kind of like the idea of them using other things about the timeline and the multiverse saga in some shape or form. I think this makes more sense that things are supposed to go a certain way, and now Doctor Doom wants to manipulate that so he can get things his own way. Or even if he doesn't get things his own way, at least nobody does. Nobody does. And that's so much like Doctor Doom, just to like, you know what? I'm not gonna win, fine, but you're not gonna win either. That's so Doctor Doom coded, and that makes way more sense. And I would like that, to be honest. I think it shows how spiteful he is, and how angry he is. And then I think possibly at the end of Secret Wars, you could probably see the real Doctor Doom and how he looked, or even possibly in the freaking Doomsday movie, you might see his face before he took over Doctor Doom's body. I mean, before he took over Tony Stark's body. But I think that makes more sense. And if you like it, like the video and comment and subscribe.